don't have any hope for finishing any of these. Hi, my name is Skylar, and it's been a minute. You know, the TLDR of everything is just that summer classes were intense, fall semester was intense, working full-time was intense, volunteering was intense, just life was intense, and so I didn't have time to film any videos. However, I did have time to read. I did finish my Goodreads goal of having to read 52 books this year, which I know some people read like ridiculous amounts, not impressive, blah, 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 blah. But for me, that was really good with being able to balance everything else. However, this year I developed a terrible habit of starting a book, putting it down, starting another book, putting it down, starting another book, putting it down, starting another book, putting it down, until now I'm left with, you know, 2.5 weeks.
Okay, freeze. I need to apologize. I say 2.5 weeks multiple times throughout this video, and obviously by the time I edited and uploaded this video, it's no longer 2.5 weeks. It's actually more like 11 days until the end of the year. So that's 11 books in 11 days, and I'm psycho, and I'm sorry, and I'm bad at math and time management. Bye.
It's left of the rest of the year, and I have 11 books that I'm currently reading. So that's what this video is. These are the books that I am going to be finishing in the next 2.5 weeks because I don't have any school. Let's see if I can do it. I'm gonna go through with the first 2 books because they are kind of similar in the fact that they are both short story collections, and I feel like my reading goals for these is to just read a couple of stories a day. Have I done that yet? No. Have I had these plans since the start of December? Yes. I'm already failing. But the 2 short story collections that I started this year and have not finished are this one's familiar, 1,000 Beginnings and Endings by Ellen Cho and Elsie Chapman, and then this one's not familiar. You haven't seen it yet on this channel, and that's Growing Things and Other Stories by Paul Tremblay. I've never read any books by him. I typically don't read a lot of horror books. I actually just read my first horror book this summer. Gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. Loved it. It was great. However, it was not by this man. So this is kind of my first experience with Mr. Paul. However, it's not going great because so far I've only read the first story, which is Growing Things, and I could be dumb. I don't know. I didn't find the first story thrilling or scary or remotely interesting. So the first story, the title story, is a no-go for me, but I'm hoping that I'm going to enjoy the other stories. And then this one, I'm still halfway through with this. I think that's where I was last time we chatted. I'm now on Girls Who Twirl and Other Dangers, which is page 155. So I only have, you know, this half to go. And again, it's just kind of, there's some stories in this that I really enjoyed, some stories that I just couldn't care about. However, my goals for these is I'm just gonna read a couple stories every day, and surely I will have these finished. It's just having to set aside the time to actually care about those couple stories every day, but I'm going to do it. I'm gonna do it. So the rest of these books, we're just gonna go in order of how recently I've read them, which is just on my Goodreads. Well, the most recent book on this list is a book that I don't physically have, and that's Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. This year I started rereading the Harry Potter franchise, series, whatever you want to call it, for the first time in 19 years. So I read the first 4 books 19 years ago when I was in 2nd grade. It was great. It was our class project. We were a class full of 7- and 8-year-old nerds. It was awesome. But I've never reread the Harry Potter books. I typically don't like rereading books, but I just had a bug in me in November and I wanted to reread Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, and I reread it and realized all of my Harry Potter knowledge comes from the movies and not from the books because I don't remember what happened. So I had a great time. It was like I read it for the first time in my entire life. It was awesome, so I'm looking forward to getting a little bit further than 2%. The next book I have on my list of books that I'm going to finish in the next 2.5 weeks is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I was like hyped for this book. I was so ready for this book to come out, and then finals happened. Just kidding, this book came out before finals, but I did have a lot of things I think going on when this book was released, and I did get a little bit into it. I'm, according to Goodreads, 20% of the way into it. I'm on where my sticky note is. I'm on page 94, so I'm in Last Fall, which really kind of just makes me want to read it because Darlington is my favorite. I do prefer his chapters versus Alex's. Is that like, are you allowed to say you don't prefer the main character's I don't know. Really enjoying it. I like the academia settings, and I really am enjoying this. It's just a little bit slow. A little bit slow in the beginning, but I love Leigh Bardugo, and I've just heard once you hit past that 150 page mark, it does start speeding up. The mystery gets better, and you know, holding out. We're gonna finish this bad boy. The next book on my list is actually one that I'm probably going to finish tonight, and that is Golden Son by Pierce Brown. Don't ask me where the book jacket is, I don't know, okay? I've lost it. According to Goodreads, I am 73% of the way through with this book. I'm on page 335 of 443. So I'm kind of at the end. We're in a big battle scene. It's great. I'm really enjoying it. I had mentioned on Instagram, if you follow me there, that I didn't like it as much as Red Rising, which I think still stands, but I'm gonna bump it up. At the moment, it's sitting closer to a 4.5. I think I said it was a 4-star book. Right now it's a 4.5. Things are getting much more interesting. I started this book back in the summer, and then I put it down probably because of my finals for summer classes. And then I never picked it back up and picked back up other things. The next book on my reading list is, not on my Goodreads, because I have a terrible habit of also not putting what I've read on my Goodreads, but I have a bookmark in it because I'm a bookmark person. So I know that I'm right here. I know that I started reading it, and I remember because it was in the summer, and that's Crazy Rich Asians by Kevin Kwan. I actually got to page 110, and this was all in just one day's worth of reading. It's 527 pages long, which I feel is really long for a contemporary. I think I picked it up prior to the movie's release, and then I watched the movie, and then I was like, you know what, I really want to read the book. And I read it one summer day while tanning and put it down and never picked it back up. Story kind of my life. I'm just gonna have a very messy pile of books back here. I hope that doesn't bother you. If it does, let me know in the comments that it bothers you, and I'll probably do it again next time because I don't have convenient bookshelves. This one's more historical fiction, and it's also kind of hard-hitting and will probably make me cry, and that's The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. I picked this book up in the fall and didn't read it. Oh my gosh, I think I only got to like chapter 2 though. You know, I didn't get very far. This is a World War II historical fiction novel centering around, I think, 2 sisters and the different relationships that they experience. I think one of them's married with kids and the other one's not. I don't really know. You know, it's kind of one of those books that everybody loves and you just want to read it because everybody loves it and you want to know if you're gonna like it. This book is 438 pages of just hard-hitting historical fiction. And probably will make me cry because relationships make me cry. Oh man. The next book on my list is also not on my Goodreads, but again, had a bookmark in it, so I knew where I was. I just don't remember when I started reading this, but I know I started reading it this year. Yes. And I actually know this because I've reread the first 50 pages of this book multiple times this year because I just cannot remember them. And right now, I still can't really remember them. And that's A Gathering of Shadows by V.E. Schwab. I loved A Darker Shade of Magic. I flew through that book. I devoured it. No problem. This book I started, and I just can't remember the first 50 pages. I feel like once I get past those points, then I'll, you know, my battery died in the middle of that clip. I don't remember what I was talking about. And honest to God, was I talking about this book? I don't remember. We're gonna keep on keeping on with the books that I need to finish reading this year. The next one on my list of books that I'm going to finish in the next 2.5 weeks is A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. Actually, I put this book on my TBR because I had seen the trailer for, was it a TV show? Was it a movie? I don't know. It was an adaptation, I think, on the Sundance Channel of A Discovery of Witches, and it looked so good. It looked like everything that 15-year-old Twilight-loving Skylar wanted as a 26-year-old, you know, adult, and I wanted to read the book first. However, one, this is a giant book. It is 579 pages long, and the words, I don't know if you can see this, but they're really tiny, like super tiny. So it's a really big floppy paperback that I'm hoping, I just don't know how I'm thinking I'm going to. I must think I'm much better at reading than I am. The next book on my Goodreads currently reading shelf, and you know, the second to last book on it, is Beartown by Fredrik Backman. This book is I think it's literary fiction is what you would call it, about a small town. Where is this small town? I think his books are kind of all based in, I thought they were based in Sweden, because he lives in Sweden. Maybe it's not, it's somewhere icy though, and that's not Texas. But it is about a small town that is big on hockey, and a traumatic event happens that kind of shakes the town to its core, and I think lines are drawn whether who believes who and what really happened, and I'm just very interested in getting to read this. Like I said, it says I am 6% of the way into this one, so not very far yet again. And the last book on this list. So this is the book that has been on my Goodreads currently reading shelf for the longest, and that is The Proposal by Jasmine Guillory. So The Wedding Date was her first book, and this is like the companion story to that. This was my first book by Jasmine Guillory. I picked it up because it was part of Reese Witherspoon's book club this year. According to Goodreads, I am 21% of the way done with this book, which isn't, again, very far. I think it said I was on like page 70 something, which, let me tell you, not a heck of a lot had happened by page 75. This is a contemporary romance, which is typically right up my alley. Oh, in my head, it won't take me long to read this, but if I hate it, then it'll take me forever. Anyway, those are the 11 books that I'm going to read in the next 2.5 weeks. Comment down below if you've read any of these books, what your star rating on them is, if you do star ratings, and what I should get to first after I finish Golden Sun. I think I'm going to probably finish up Ninth House, since those are the two that I'm most devoted to, and then it's a toss-up. I don't know. And with all that being said, I hope you are having a wonderful morning, noon, or night, whatever time of the day you happen to be watching this video, and until next time, bye! Wow, look, my phone brightness is all the way up. I am that annoying chick. Meow.